A Discovery Special, The Metamorphisis Revisited. An investigative parody fraught with murder, deceit, betrayal, and steaming passion, starring Jacob Hill, Cole Schmid, Rachel Nashold. Warning, this showing may contain some disturbing images. Your discretion is advised.
Hi, I'm Ken Adams, and tonight on Dateline Discovery we are investigating the mystery of Gregor Samsa, the Bugman, a former door-to-door pesticide salesman whose strange medical condition resulted in his untimely death. Or was foul play a factor in his death? We have an exclusive interview between our medical correspondent Melvin Brooks and medical examiner Dr. Francis Kafka. In this investigation, the individual responsible for the investigation of Gregor's corpse.
Dr. Francis, was there anything unusual about Mr. Samsa's body?
Well, in his case, it was certainly abnormal. And in fact, I'm having trouble trying to find a way to put it. His body was, well, ewy?
Ewy? What do you mean by ewy? Slimy, disfigured, rotten, smelly, bug-infested?
In a sense.
I hope you'll pardon me, Dr. Francis, but I'm afraid you'll have to explain yourself further.
Well, he had certain bug-like qualities.
Such as...
He was a bug. He was an ugly, ewy, 6-foot-tall cockroach. So yes, his body was, in a sense, bug-infested.
I see, and how exactly did this condition come about?
Well, from what we have been able to deduce, it seems that one of the pesticides that Mr. Samsa was peddling was highly radioactive. During one of his demonstrations, he was bitten by a cockroach that had the radioactive chemicals in his DNA, which mutated him into a giant cockroach.
Could that have contributed to his death?
No. Transformations into animals from human are quite common. My team of highly intelligent fifth graders and I have arrived at the conclusion that it was something more. It is, in my professional opinion, murder.
Murder?
Murder.
Murder?
Murder!
Really? Murder?
No, I'm just kidding.
Really?
No, it was murder!
Are you an English student just looking to scrape by? Is dense Russian literature keeping you down? Here at Schmoop, we believe that Crime and Punishment is the real Crime and Punishment. Our plot summaries of books commonly found in school curriculums across the country will keep your grades high and your workload low. Schmoop, keeping students from reading since 2012.
We continue with our story of Gregor Samsa. It seems as though we have finally discovered Mr. Samsa's real cause of death. For those who knew the Samsa family, it seemed that they had an idyllic human-insect relationship filled with a deep sense of joy regarding the world of all things that buzz and crawl. However, given a closer look, we found that this interspecies family relationship was anything but tranquil. Discovery's own Melvin Brooks reports.
So, Mrs. Untkempt, you've worked for the Samsa family as a cleaning woman for how long exactly?
I have worked for the Samsa family for 4 months.
I see. And how well did you know the Samsa family, would you say?
Oh, I knew them very well. When you work for someone for as many years as I have, you can get to know someone as intimately just from their trash. And the Samsas had a lot of trash, let me tell you.
And what did the Samsa's trash tell you about them, Mrs. Untkempt?
That they were spineless bug lovers. That is what they told me. They threw out about 300 bags of bug food every week. What kind of healthy, normal family does that? Let me tell you, it was not mine.
Were you aware of the fact the Samsas were using this food to feed their mutant freak of a son?
No. Had I known, I would have squashed the little pest with my bare hands. But I wasn't the only one who noticed the food.
You weren't?
No, I wasn't. The tenants who were living in the flat with the Samsas also took notice of the giant bags of bug food being thrown out very quickly. And I know for a fact that one of them was a convicted bug anti-activist.
With undying spirit and a face only a mother could love, Mrs. Untkempt initially provided the only solid lead in our investigation. After a particularly brutal interrogation involving red hat fire pokers and Chinese finger traps, however, the tenants were found to have been, without a doubt, innocent in the matter of Gregor Samsa's murder. Thus, back at ground zero, we stumbled upon yet another possible lead. Ever relentless, Melvin Brooks reports on the discovery.
Mr. Scott, would you please formally introduce yourself, your occupation, and your particular relation to Mr. Sampson for our viewers?
Of course. My name is Michael Scott. I was Sampson's office manager at Roach and Flea Inc. We mainly provide pest control services and products, especially those of a toxic nature. Our latest chemical, Bugmageddon, was used to eliminate pests mutated by nuclear weapons used in testing, or from leaking nuclear power plants and waste contamination sites, as a matter of fact.
So you would say that your products are effective then?
Of course. Like every good pest control company, we have some occasional side effects, but I assure you, human fatalities are rare. In fact, we broke record this year. Only 1 out of every 3 people to handle roach and flea Inc. pesticides suffered agonizing death or injury.
I'm sure our viewers will be deeply comforted by such positive statistic. If you don't mind me asking, Mr. Scott, if your products are so highly rated, how then did Mr. Sampson come to be mutated by a pesticide produced in one of your factories?
I really don't mean to be harsh to the Sampsons, especially in this tragic hour, but Gregor Sampson was an incompetent fool who could barely meet any of our work quotas. He was an idiot, a nincompoop, a dullard, a blockhead, a mindless drone, a complete and total dope, a thick-witted cow, and a squealing little insect. And he was always so depressed. What the hell did he have to be depressed about? He had a 14-hour workday, a 4x4 cubicle, and non-existent insurance and health benefits. And he was a provider for 3 people. 3! When I was growing up, I had to provide for 72, and all of them were immigrants. Sampson, the sniveling little twerp that he was, should have been grateful to travel across the country with 4 hours of sleep a day on business.
I must admit, Mr. Scott, I'm a bit surprised. I've heard from several people that Mr. Sampson was a tad melancholy, but I've never heard him described as in such a manner as you just did now.
Yeah, well, I knew the real Sampson, and he wasn't the sharpest bee in the hive, let me tell you. I've seen ants work harder than him.
So in your opinion, Mr. Scott, who or what do you believe killed Gregor Sampson?
Who or what? Nobody killed Sampson. Nothing harmed him.
So you believe something else did Sampson?
Absolutely. Mr. Sampson was prone to depression, and because of that, he killed himself, nothing more. Though if you ask me, he did the world a favor.
Schmoop doesn't have the titles you're looking for? Come to the less helpful and older version of one. You just don't want to read pointless garbage and need a quick and easy way to understand what goes on in a book self-help guide to success. Spark Notes, with the same summaries minus the witty banter and interesting commentaries. Spark Notes provides the same help just with less success. Spark Notes, giving students barely enough to help them skip doing their English homework since 2005.
Despite Mr. Scott's cantankerous personality, his charm, quick wit, and devastating good looks convinced the police to look deeper into the idea of Gregor Sampson committing suicide. Initially, this theory appeared accurate. It seemed as though Sampson had attempted to impale himself upon an apple, thereby ending his sad and sorry existence. But this theory didn't quite fit. Something was still bugging the police. So after further consideration, Detective Frank Cousteau decided to reopen the case. And it's a good thing he did, because what he found shocked the world, or at least one small Eastern European village. Our own Melvin Brooks reports on the scene.
Good afternoon, Detective Cousteau.
Hello.
So, Frank, may I call you Frank?
No.
Oh, anyway. Frank, what prompted you to act beyond the initial findings of the police in an investigation of Gregor Sampson's death?
Didn't fit.
What didn't?
A giant bug through a tiny door. No, just kidding. Suicide. Suicide didn't fit. Sure, Sampson may have been a miserable son of a gun, but he wasn't the type to kill himself.
Oh, and what led you to that conclusion, Detective?
Sampson, in his last days, lived in an empty room. No knives, guns, pills, pens, pencils, or bridges were anywhere near him. That and Mr. Sampson's lack of opposable thumbs afforded him no ability to kill himself. All that was in the room was a painting of a woman wearing ridiculous clothing.
Was it one of those type of paintings?
No. Sampson didn't have a girlfriend, but that didn't mean he was desperate.
Is there really a difference?
Yup.
So anyway, how did you finally discover conclusive evidence of Mr. Sampson's demise?
I found a letter written by the sister to her French lover, Francois Kafkassé.
And what did the letter say, Detective?
The sister Greta Samsa openly stated that she and her parents poisoned Gregor Samsa with antidepressants.
Antidepressants? I don't believe I've ever heard of those.
They're used primarily to make people depressed. Pretty much only prescribed by doctors around here to joyfully irritating sorts of folks.
That might explain the bleak atmosphere of our town. No, probably not. Anyway, so Greet Samsa, along with her parents, conspired to murder Gregor Samsa? Surely there must have been some reason for this shocking turn of events.
There was.
Care to share what that reason was, Detective?
They wanted Gregor's life insurance money.
Life insurance money? Pardon me, Detective, but I thought that Mr. Samsa didn't receive any insurance. Mr. Scott explicitly stated that all Roach and Flea Inc. Employees received no benefits whatsoever as part of its motivational production output program.
Entry-level employees don't. However, a while back, Samsa, it seems, caught Scott embezzling from his own company. So, to shut him up, Scott offered Samsa a hefty life insurance policy. Samsa kept his mouth shut in order to keep the policy, but he told his family all about it.
So in order to cash in on Mr. Samsa's policy, Greet Samsa and Mr. and Mrs. Samsa killed poor Gregor?
Pretty much.
My God, what an awful scheme. What a horribly convoluted and deliciously scandalous mystery. Is there any doubt whatsoever as to the validity of this theory, Detective Cousteau?
No. As of yesterday, the remaining members of the Samsa family, including Greta, Hans, and Helga Samsa, were arrested on a train as they attempted to flee the country. They were carrying almost $1.2 million of life insurance money in a black canvas bag. They were planning to use it to start a new life somewhere in Iceland.
Iceland? Why Iceland?
No bugs.
After a long and arduous investigation into the mysterious death of one Gregor Samsa, it has been finally proven as of yesterday that the young traveling door-to-door pest product salesman, well known for his hatred of insects, was insidiously murdered by the people he loved the most. Yesterday at 3 p.m., Police Commissioner Haggerty Buggenston officially ruled Gregor Samsa's death a homicide. It is with great satisfaction and yet simultaneously a deep sense of sorrowful regret that we witness the sad and depressing life of Gregor Samsa formally come to an end. I'm Ken Adams, reporting live to you all on what is arguably the most bizarre case in human insect history, and this is Dateline Discovery. Scott's cantankerous personality, his charms,
Today we watched the great Jake Hill in his natural habitat.
What didn't
A tiny bug. Scheisser.
you
Alright.
say?
Come on! Alright.
Okay, it's still going.
Wait, no.
Making silly demands.
Back up, Ken Adams. I'm Ken Adams, and I'm gonna be quiet now so that my people can actually get to work on this.
He needs makeup.
Agreed. I'm
Makeup.
I see. And how well did you know the Samsa?
Oh no!
Finally did it!
What the heck? Oh, you know what?
Mr. Samsa for our viewers.
Nope.
Oh?
No.
And that's
We weren't actually.
Oh no, look at his face.
Cool.
Baring his teeth. My God, he's going to attack!